And we are live.
What
Put
up,
the
Doe?
hammer on that.
What up, Doe? What up,
He
Doe?
was a lion.
What
He's
up,
ready.
Doe? I'm gonna come. What up, Doe? What's going on, everybody? What's good?
Came out the
Welcome
gate.
to Woodward Pistons
Table.
Table Talk. What up, Doe? We are so happy that you all are here. It is a beautiful Thursday. I'm gonna come, and we're just super glad that it is time to have another table talk with each and every one of you. I, of course, am your host, Sean Murphy.
Hey.
When to my left, it is the Godfather, the man amongst boys when it comes to Woodward Pistons, the beat writer extraordinaire, my boy Brandon, aka Cook
Let's
Kool-Aid.
go. Let's
Hold on, let
go.
me do that
Let's
right.
go.
AKA my boy Kool-Aid.
Hey. I like
Oh
that, man. I
yeah.
like that. I came dressed for the occasion today. It's
Also,
business
to
time.
my right, for the first time in a long time, our boy is back. It
Hey,
is
yo.
downtown Deuce, aka Resurrection.
Hey.
Hey, oh my gosh, dude, Deuce, it's so good seeing you. We do got to ask, man, how's fatherhood treating you? How's the baby doing? How's everything going on that front, my friend?
Man, it feels good to be back, man. Definitely an adjustment, two kids now. But it feels good to be back with y'all, man. Looking forward to the season. It's gonna be a lot of fun. So appreciate y'all holding it down for your boy while I was on
Absolutely,
slight leave.
man. Hey, hey,
Definitely.
and how's that Woolworth Pistons mixtape going, brother? We got to know about that.
Man, I might have to look to Kool-Aid on that one, man, because we got some things coming. Kool-Aid, you want to kind of elaborate on that, bro?
Yeah, definitely. For this season, we're gonna make sure that we have some pretty cool content coming your way, man. Whether it's stuff from Carl and the videos, whether it's stuff from some of our
Yes.
graphic designers. I got a graphic designer that's being added to the roster, and by my estimation, I believe from half court and Woodward Pistons are gonna have the best graphic designers in this whole
We
content creation.
literally got like not to like it's like you can kind of like process of elimination. If you think about the fact that I have one of the best graphic designers in Pistons Twitter, and then you were to go, oh, well, we added the other best graphic designer in Pistons Twitter, process of
Yep.
elimination. But
Yeah.
what that just says, man, is that we really are going to have top notch content, not only on YouTube, not only on, live or whatever video platform you desire, but also it means we're going to have the best content on social media. We're going
Yep.
to have the best Pistons coverage on Twitter, on Instagram, on TikTok, on YouTube Shorts, on Instagram Reels. It doesn't matter where it is. We're even going to have the
On
best.
Woodward Sports.
Yeah, on Woodward Sports. We might even have something on your urinal at your local gas station for all you know. That's like we want to be everywhere, man, and that's the
Let's go.
goal.
And the music is on the way, man. Look, we're gonna have some crazy collaborations too, man. We were heavyweights one in on this. Obviously,
Yeah.
Deuce is one of the people that's gonna really be driving a lot. We'll definitely get more on that
Hey,
as we talk Deuce. But
Yeah.
yeah, the music is gonna be dope. I
hey,
think
when am
people are
I
gonna really
hopping
like
on
it.
there,
I was
man?
gonna say Kool-Aid, you gotta get on there too, bro.
Oh
Once
no
again,
no
you
no, we're
popping
yeah.
everybody up, so we
Listen,
gotta make sure.
hold on. The squad is on that mug.
There
In
we
terms
go.
Dude,
of artists that we know, I know that's that Big Spence. He's done some
Yeah.
things. I know Easy's done some things. I know Dude says this is his life, music.
Yep.
Sean and I, we're gonna definitely come in and contribute. I'm gonna try and reprise some things I've done from a time in DC, but really, I really want to make this mixtape the thing. I want to get some collaboration going and feature a lot of the talent that we have. Like it's Pistons. It doesn't mean that everybody has to have played ball or has to cover the Pistons a certain way. It's how we all contribute to the culture of really Detroit.
Facts.
And beyond that, a little bit deeper than the Pistons. And that's what this is really about. So I look forward to it, letting people be able to get in their lanes, stretch their legs a little bit, and really let them just go to work.
I'm gonna
Yeah.
come.
Let's get
That's
it,
how I
buddy.
feel about it. It's gonna be pretty great.
Kanye West, boy.
Yeah, but in
Blanco
addition,
Mason. I
man,
love
you
that
got
one.
so many nicknames for me, dude. I love it. I love it. But also down to my bottom left, we got Mr. Carl Collins at Carl Collins Prod. You can also
Yes,
find him on
sir.
YouTube, by the way. Be sure you're subscribing to Carl Collins Productions on YouTube. But also, Carl, you dropped a pretty awesome video today of not only your favorite Piston of all time, but my favorite player of all time. And
Mhm.
that's Mr. Bob Bet.
Mhm.
Gong, gong.
Let's
That-
go, boy. Yep. Dog, I'm over here getting excited.
Wait till you
I'm over
guys
here
see
getting
the.
excited.
Well, I don't want
I'm
to say too
supposed
much, but that video that he just did,
Oh,
goosebumps, man. This dude is a video extraordinaire, bro. He's
I appreciate y'all, man.
Bro, my goosebumps
and
had goosebumps.
it was so good, man. It
I'm
was
Yeah,
sitting here
I
like,
feel
what
like
is going on?
Yeah.
my goal is to give people goosebumps. If I can make people get goosebumps, then I feel like I'm doing what I said.
But does it feel like work? Or does it feel like it's just your passion pouring out through your craft? And that's what this is about.
It's passion.
Yeah.
Anything Pistons, anything Detroit sports. Really now, it's
Facts.
passion.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Carl, I don't know if you can get your microphone turned up, by the way. It's just a little quiet on my end.
Yeah.
That could just be me though.
Oh,
I do see some questions in the comments though about what the plan is for opening night and what we're going to be doing specifically. Kool-Aid, do we have any update on that yet?
We'll get into that. Let's why don't you do Steve and then we'll
Yeah.
start there, I guess.
We'll get there in a minute. Yeah. But also
Can you
we
hear
got
me better now?
Yeah, that's better now.
Okay.
Yeah, appreciate it, man.
Yep.
Sorry about that. And also, we got the man in the bottom right corner, the man next to the man with the plan. It is our guy, Steve of Detroit Bad Boys, aka at Burke Worldwide, aka the latest guest on From Half Court. Steve,
go.
you had to talk to me twice this week, you poor man.
No, man, I enjoyed it. Joe was supposed to chime in too, but he's been on hold with Scottie Pippen and Michael Jordan. He's asked them how many titles they won in the 80s, and he's getting nothing so far.
I thought he was back on the phone trying to figure out how he could get Carlos Delfino and Mehmet Okur back in Pistons red, white, and blue. I
Oh,
thought
my
that's what he
goodness.
was doing, but no, it was a blast, man.
Primo.
We talked all things draft, and not only were we able to talk NBA draft, but we were able to talk about like Steve's background and how he started scouting and how that passion came to be. And we broke down even Steve. I want you to repeat this here. I asked Steve how many hours a week he dedicates towards scouting. And you know the answer is going to be a lot when the first thing he says is, well, how many hours are there in a week? And essentially, Steve, what we came to the conclusion of, and you can elaborate on this more, half of your week is spent scouting players.
Not all the time. On busy weeks, it's about a third of my time, but on non-busy
Only
weeks,
a third.
it's about half. So-
Not all the time. Only
Oh.
some of the time.
Yeah, but
This is a lot of the
a
time.
third of your time is still a lot of time spent scouting prospects. Like, credit where credit is due. Like,
Yeah.
this man is
Mhm.
into it. And so not only did we go into Victor Wembanyama and what he is as a prospect, not only did we go into Bronny James and what he could be as a prospect, we went into the one and done deal and what that could potentially mean. We even talked about who the Pistons could potentially be eyeing and who you should be looking out for going into this NCAA season. We covered a lot of ground in a short amount of time, and Steve's definitely going to have to come back on, but that was honestly one of the best pods we've ever had. So please go give that a listen. Check that out. Steve was amazing. And yeah, man, it's
I've tried to tell people for a while, man. And Steve has just kind of been a loyal, kind of a really, really loyal person. Not an individual who just supports because he's trying to get something, but an individual who, before there was something, was just a supportive person.
Mhm.
I remember my
yeah.
first article written with a company that is not even like around, and he was like, I'm sharing it, dope stuff. And it was
Yep.
and this was years, this was like 3-4 years ago. I don't even know if you remember some of this stuff, but everything that I would do, he was just supporting everything other people do. You could see him supporting. And I remember when you started really getting into articles, I was like, oh, heck yeah, I'm supporting this guy.
yeah.
Right.
It's
he
just who he
wanted
is.
to come
And
on
so,
just to talk about the
Yeah,
love
good
of the
dude.
game and the love of scouts and
dude.
just draft. Like he just loves talking draft prospects, man. Like he'll always say, man, if you ever want to talk draft, I'm there, I'm ready.
Yeah.
And so
Mhm.
yeah, man, Steve, I just appreciate you a ton. It was a lot of fun. And yeah, man, if you haven't listened to it yet, definitely after this table talk, that is what you should go listen to because it was a very fun episode.
Yeah.
Yeah, man,
And
I had a blast. So
yeah,
always.
and
Mhm.
Steve got to meet the prima donna himself, Jeff Iafrate.
Shout out to Mr. Everything.
Yeah, Mr. Everything, Jeff Iafrate.
He's everywhere
Yes,
right now,
sir.
man. He's all
Yeah,
over the
man.
place, and I'm proud of it. That's what these
My guy.
platforms should do.
Yeah,
If
no.
our platforms are not pushing our content creators to the next level, if they're not helping them grow and get better, then what are we really doing? We're not out here just to create stuff for like ad revenue or the algorithms. We love this stuff,
Yep.
and to see someone like Jeff who went educationally the route to try and get to this spot. He went and got his certs, he went and got his degrees, he went and did his work, he went and did his homework, he's gone and studied broadcast journalism and things of this nature. To see somebody rewarded for that, that's what you want to see.
Well, not only that, but
That's what you want.
not only that, but also in all seriousness, when Jeff and I started working on From Half Court together was when he was off the morning show. And not that he was like released or like anything ill will there, but they had a different vision at that time of where they wanted to take things. And so at that time, it opened up the time for Jeff and I to say, all right, well, we're going to bet on ourselves and we're going to work on From Half Court together. And ever since, it's kind of become, relatively speaking, one of the bigger content platforms in the Pistons sphere today. And it's one of the up and coming NBA podcasts. So, it's one of those things where the fact that, now he's back on the morning show, but honestly, like the big platform that he's working on is From Half Court. Like we still get to do that together, but also he's part of Woodward Pistons. Yeah. Shout out to the guy, man. Love him to death.
Yep.
I just like to give him shit and call him the prima donna because it gets under his skin and I love it.
Yeah, no, Rod got on him this week. On the Woodward Pistons show or podcast, whatever we call them, Woodward Pistons.
Yeah.
It was funny, man. Like I like it. Like I said, the growth also brings more responsibility, and Rod is always gonna make sure he lets us know. Shout out Rod Beard.
Gotta love that, man.
He's always gonna let us know when we're slacking just a little bit, man. It was funny this week, and definitely tune in From Half Court. Tune in Woodward Pistons. Tune into all the different channels. There's some great content this week, man. Really great content.
Absolutely. But
I wanna jump into. Well, first we gotta get this beginning of the season stuff going. We do.
Yeah.
Monday is not just media day, but the first day of training camp as well, which will start shortly after media day. I know the email from PR said Troy Weaver is going to be ready to go at about 1:30, and also have Dwayne Casey. Beyond that, we'll be able to meet with different players and get their comments and such. And the one thing that Mike Curtis and I got to talk about at the Motor City Cruise tryouts is, we're finally ready to hear what the players have to say. Not little clips, not little things here and there, not, there's a guy in the gym. I mean, we get to come in and hear them state what they've been working on. We get to hear them state what their expectations are. We get to hear them state, like Sadiq Bey, I'm not listening to any of the noise. I'm just out here working to be the best player I can be. That's the type of stuff that we cannot wait to get into for the start of this season. And training camp is right there. It's Monday, so we gotta come prepared. After Monday, I gotta figure out a different hat, man. We gotta covering the team is a little bit different during the season.
Yeah, for sure.
It is. You want to try and be as objective and keep our fanship in check.
You know what you should wear? You should wear a Tigers cap just because it just has the English D. It's
I
just
like
representing
what Steve got
Detroit.
going on.
Yeah,
I was thinking of wearing what Carl Collins got, but I don't think that's gonna work for me. I don't know.
Hey, but in all seriousness, though, man, a Tigers cap that might look pretty professional, pretty legit, clean cut. I think that's pretty good.
We definitely gonna get into that. But for the start of the season, because we saw those comments in there as well. October 19th, first home game against Orlando Magic, Paulo Banchero. We got Michigan, University of Michigan basketball light coming in to LCA to do some work, to battle against the Pistons.
Steve,
I see you down there, Steve. Go blue.
Yeah,
what up?
Yeah, the Beeline Batoon is going to be coming in from Orlando to face off against the Pistons. And we gonna be there, man.
That's what we're gonna do. We're gonna be there. Look, we are going to be pretty deep too. I don't know how many people are going with us. I know that we're gonna have at least a crew of like 7 to 12 in one specific section. We're trying to get that to be even bigger but we're gonna have people throughout. We're planning some things for that day, so stay tuned. Some pregame festivities.
Yeah.
I'm hoping. Well, we'll keep it under wraps until we can get everything done. But if we can get the pregame festivities, it's gonna be fun. Come out and meet all of our content creators. Whenever we announce,
yeah,
come out and meet us, man. Straight up, we want to meet
For
you
sure.
all. It's gonna be
We
fun.
want to meet y'all for sure.
expect something pregame, you know, like whether it's at the Little Caesars Arena, whether it's somewhere close by. Just be you're gonna want to be following our Twitter, you're gonna want to be following our Instagram, because that's where all the latest information is going to be and the details that lead up to it. There's just some schematics we got to figure out, but just know we are going to be doing something, so be on the lookout. We will be doing something,
and it's gonna be
That
fun.
is for
So
sure.
at the very least, definitely check with us at the arena. We're all gonna be there.
Oh heck yeah.
Yeah, it's gonna be fun. It's gonna be fun. Like I said, all my guys, I'll be checking in with you all over the next week or two to let you know how it's gonna go. But I think I might be able to have everyone covered. I might, but we'll see. We'll see. We'll see. It's not me. Our work, man. The what we've put in. Everybody. Like I'm so appreciative to everybody on this squad, everybody on the team, and we're gonna have fun. We're gonna have fun.
It's gonna be a fun season, man.
Yeah, most certainly, man.
Yeah. So anything to get on before we get into Bojan Bogdanovic and what
man, slow week in the NBA world. No, there's a whole lot going on. So first, a little bit of a follow-up of a conversation we had last week on Robert Sarver. Robert Sarver has announced in a statement where he essentially was a piece of trash and then said that he's going to be selling the team, both the Phoenix Mercury and the Phoenix Suns. Let me pull up the official statement so I can read it.
Yes, sir.
But essentially the crux of it is that he is going to start the process of selling the team. But here is the official statement. As a man of faith, I believe in atonement and the path to forgiveness. Go yourself. I expected that the commissioner's 1-year suspension would provide the time for me to focus, make amends, and remove my personal controversy from the teams that I and so many fans love.
I'm mad at everybody, dog. I'm sorry. Everybody's fidgeting through this. Everybody, Carlos, like, I'm uncomfortable. Steve is like, I don't know. This man's
wait.
It's just a BS statement. Deuce was up there like, man, I don't know how many times I can scratch my forehead.
Just real quick, every time someone says,
why am I reading this out of my mouth?
anytime, real quick, Sean. Sorry, anytime someone says I'm a man of faith, I mean that right there.
After the
Red
actions
flags,
that are on,
red flags,
red
red
flags.
flags.
Yeah,
Why is it
was time for me to
after those
focus
actions,
after-
this is a red flag.
that.
If it comes before, if this person proves themselves to be something, then sure. Like if Cade was like, I'm a man of faith, I'm like, you know what, Cade, I believe you. But if like Sarver and Watson came walking through the door, I'm like, you know what? I don't know about you guys.
Robert Sarver is the human embodiment of an ashtray. Like it's just you can't see him say he's a man of faith. You know what I mean?
Go back later and look at this while you're reading it. All of you guys are just I was sitting back, I was like, man, let me look at these guys. Because my whole face changed, but I realized with the glasses on, you can't really tell my eyes. But everybody was just like, uncomfortable, man.
Here's where it gets better. You ready? But in our current unforgiving climate, it has become painfully clear that that is no longer possible. That whatever good I have done or could still do is outweighed by things I have said in the past. For those reasons, I am beginning the process of seeking buyers for the Suns and Mercury. And so Robert Sarver is going out the way that he came in, a dumbass. And so that's just what it is. And guys, you know, I generally, you know, like you said, it's one of those things where, you know, I like to keep it professional. And like you said, with the season coming up, I'll even have to change my wardrobe a little bit as well. But I do like to reserve one special thing for a special type of person. And that is what I like to call the double bird salute. Robert Sarver, rest in piss, won't be missed. And that is in my opinion, no better way to wrap that up than rest
My
in
only
piss,
thoughts on that.
won't be missed.
My only
go
thoughts
ahead.
on
Go
that.
ahead, Deuce. Absolutely.
Yeah, is what Chuck Brewer said. I was thinking the same thing that he's saying the victim. He's blaming the unforgiving climate. he's not blaming his actions. He's not
Mhm.
saying
The
he's
unforgiving
feeling
climate, for real. You mean the
right.
man who's
That's
had this team for how long? It's not like there was one incident that we just kept nagging at. It's like you had this one incident, then another incident, then another, and chose not to change nothing with your actions.
It's
mhm,
been going.
That's
These
on you,
instances
Starver.
date back
yeah,
to 2005.
That's what I'm saying.
right.
What the freak, man? At least the NBA, you know what? At least the NBA is putting the pressure on them
Mhm.
because the NFL is something different, man. I don't know what the NFL is doing.
Yeah,
But at
let's
least the
talk about.
NBA has affected some change in a position that's hard to do with
Yeah,
sports ownership. It's
let's go.
someone's company.
Yeah, let's
Yeah.
go into that a little bit, man. Because one thing we were talking about is Ime Udoka. The news came out today. The reports came out about a personal consensual relationship that he had with a member of the Boston Celtics staff. And it seems that the team is prepared to levy an unprecedented season-long suspension for violating team conduct. And so it is now going to be a situation where Ime Udoka, who, we won't get into the moralities of any of it. We won't get into, the situation.
Right.
I mean, that's affecting families, that's affecting personal lives. That's not really what we're here for. But
Mhm.
it would be hard for it. It's hard to not pass on the idea that there's going to be a man in the NBA who's getting suspended for an entire season for a consensual relationship when there is a
Quick, too.
player. Yeah. And whereas there is a player in the NFL who has at least 20 something confirmed cases of sexual assault and is only suspended 11 games. And that's the victory for the NFL. Like, that was them. Somehow that was a good thing on their report card in comparison to what they've had over the past 5 years. And so,
you know what?
Yeah.
I as much as we would like to see these sports leagues move a little bit more punctuated in these types of situations, seeing the landscape, I commend the NBA. I wish the pace was better. Because seeing what the NFL is doing, it's just like, what are y'all doing, man? At least the NBA is like, hey, you know what, bro? Whether it's moral, whether it's consensual, whether it's this, whether it's that, there's a standard that we have to establish.
but I will say though,
Right.
like the NBA, they did force action, and like they did make the suspension, and like apparently like on record, Adam Silver said he never asked Robert Sarver to sell the team, but reports suggest that they did apply like apparently he was applying pressure behind the scenes. I'm sure he was helping, like coordinate with sponsors and have that type of pressure. I know other owners were reportedly forcing some form of pressure, but I mean, let's be honest, Robert Sarver just bailed out the league. I mean, I think what ultimately probably caused this was when Draymond Green came out and said, let's
Right.
vote. Let's have a vote and let's see where the owners really stand. And I think that was the thing, is once it comes into effect that owners can actually be affected and exposed for who they really are and what they really believe, I think
Mhm.
that's where it gets a little like scary on their side. But I think, yeah, man, listen, the NBA, they've done a lot of great things over the years. Overall, I hold them to a
Right.
high standard because they do a lot of great things. But this is by far the biggest blemish on Adam Silver's report card so far. And there's no doubt about it. And just because Robert Sarver is selling the team, that doesn't change the fact that he handled this situation miserably bad. Just terrible.
Yeah. Like I said, compared to the other leagues, you're like, okay, but just in general, it's like, hey, let's get better at this, man. It shouldn't be this difficult. It should not. These are people
I
managing
feel
people. Be a better person if you're going to be in a position of managing people of multiple cultures, man, multiple backgrounds, genders, all this type of stuff. Just be better at it, or go somewhere and work on yourself. As an owner, you don't got to be nowhere. You don't have to be anywhere in that building as a sports team. It's probably your tax write-off. Go somewhere if you can't afford yourself the opportunity to be a decent human being.
I feel morally gray watching football, at this point, or at least certain teams. Like right now, I know like the Browns and the Steelers are playing. It's a little difficult for me to have a Browns game on right now and to support them monetarily in any way. So I think for me, part of why I'm looking forward to basketball to come back is that I can have less football on, because as much as I like football as a sport, I just don't really feel morally great watching football right now. That's just
It's
where it
wild.
Yeah,
But any more comments on that before we get into Bojan? I want to get some of these comments up and definitely say what up to some of these people in the comments. We missed a lot of them that we normally get to, but
is. Go Lions, though.
we had to start off with the bang.
Go
bro.
Dan Campbell.
facts.
CDC.
Definitely. Let's get into it, man. Like, hey, shout out Chuck, man. He's been on a roll. We got some of our regulars
Shout
in
out
here.
Chuck,
Shout out
sure.
Dwayne. Troy Gotti
Dwayne,
strikes
goody.
again. Hey, I like that one,
Yes,
man. We got
sir.
Troy Reaper, Grim Reaver, Troy Gotti.
Listen,
Wizard.
Troy got he's getting everybody. That's all I
listen,
gotta say.
people came here for one specific reason, and we got to talk about it. And Deuce, I want to start with you. What do you think about Saban Lee's fit with the Utah Jazz? I'm kidding. We got to talk. I'm totally kidding. We got to talk about the Bojan Bogdanovic trade.
Can
I like
I
this
interject? Can I interject? It's Bojan Bogdanovic.
I know it's
Bojan.
Bojan
Bojan.
Bogdanovic. I was saying it
Bojan.
through a piece Kool-Aid, but it's Bojan Bogdanovic.
Hey, thank you.
Yeah, Bojan Bogdanovic, according to first reported by Shams, confirmed by James Edwards III and Woj, Bojan Bogdanovic has been traded to the Detroit Pistons in exchange for Kelly Olynyk and Saban Lee. No draft picks were given up in this trade.
Yep.
Bojan Bogdanovic actually has a year less on his deal than Kelly Olynyk. He has a salary of about $19.2 million. And now the Pistons only have one player on their roster above their maximum roster spots. So more than likely they're going to waive Kemba Walker. And
We'll see about that.
Yep.
Rod actually talked about that on Woodward Pistons podcast. So it's some interesting stuff going on behind the scenes. I would assume, and I wonder how much the Bogdanovic trade changes anything at all in the mind of Kemba Walker or Troy Weaver or whatever they may be or might not be trying to do together. So it's gonna be an interesting thing to see how the rest of this plays out with a few days to go before media day and training camp.
Here's what I will say. That entire summer we spent talking about what our starting lineup's gonna be. Well, that was fun. We throw that all out the window now, and that conversation's completely restarted. I mean, I would argue that there's going to be a competition for that 4 spot, and in my opinion, I think we're going to see Bojan Bogdanovic starting at the beginning of this season.
Ooh, that's interesting. We're gonna get to it. Let's get through these shout outs real quick.
Yeah.
We got 3-on-3 Sports Guru, Flagrant Elbow. Definitely, he's one of our top moderators, one of our most loyal supporters, and honestly, check out his content as well, his Pistons content for the season coming up. Definitely, man. Shout out to Flagrant Elbow. Support these guys, man. Support. That's what this is about. I like 3-on-3 Sports Guru. I'm gonna miss the lunch lady Olynyk, though.
Man, when you guys were talking to me, I saw that one, and I was trying not to just bust out laughing.
I listen, man. Kelly Olynyk, in all seriousness, he served his purpose. It was very similar to Mason Plumlee, where he had some moments that were good. He had some moments that were not so good. And I think he fits Utah really well in the sense that he could be a trade piece, or he could possibly have, like that kind of role where he comes in, plays solid minutes, and contributes on a young team, So I don't think all's bad for him. He's still gonna get the bag.
Yo, how many times has Troy has packaged a couple players that should not be able to get the returns that they have? He's done this a couple times now, man. A couple times.
This man turned Mason Plumlee into Bojan Bogdanovic.
We got shooters now, dog. Last year we were saying we need space.
Exactly.
Like we legitimately got shooters. Like
he's the perfect veteran for this team. And here's what I mean. Like he's a great locker room guy for a young team, but he's not somebody like Udonis Haslem where They have a wealth of knowledge and wisdom, but they no longer impact the game on the court. But on the other side, he's also not the type of veteran that will come to a team and immediately call into question whose team it is. This is not like LeBron going to Cleveland in 2015 when it was Kyrie's team. You know what I mean? So
Yeah.
I think he understands his role and he knows who he is as a player. And he's not a star, but he's impactful enough on the floor to earn the respect of those guys. And he's been on playoff teams. I mean, that's that's where this team aspires to be.
And he's
next
a walking
season.
15
So-
points. Like he's a walking 18
And he's a
point
walk-
game.
18 points per game, 39% from three. So if for some odd reason it doesn't work out or he doesn't want to resign for, a team-friendly deal, you let him walk. And like Sean said, you get 19 million to go with the ridiculous amount you already have.
Yeah, we already were
And-
over $60 million in cap space.
Exactly. And it didn't cost you any future draft picks or significant role players. And oh, by the way, you address the team's biggest need in the process, which is shooting. So it's the ideal trade if you are Troy Weaver.
Also, that makes that front court depth pretty damn deep now. I mean, we got Bojan
Strange.
Bogdanovic, Isaiah Livers, we got Marvin Bagley. I
Mhm.
mean, guys, there's some real competition for minutes at that spot now.
Yep.
Yeah, and the thing that I like about Troy Weaver is he seems to be able to stack talent that's not necessarily going to be looking at each other as even competition, while people are still pushing each other to get
Mhm.
better on the squad. What I see from a guy like Bogdanovic is a guy who just plays his role. I know I've seen people out there state, he could be the second best player in the Pistons. He's the second best player in the Pistons right now, and they post stats. And I'm like, he's a player that just plays his role so well on offense that if you plug him into any lineup, he's going to be the guy who can stand in the corner and hit the three. He's going to be the guy who can do a little bit more offense than some of these other people. When he gets the ball, a pump fake means a lot more from him because of how deadly his three is, and he can step in. So
He
you will
also
see
could
a
just
guy.
be a sixth man too, and like be
Yeah.
a good sixth man. Like he's not.
That's where I'm
For sure.
hedging him personally. That's where I'm personally hedging him. But he's a guy who doesn't need like a crazy amount of shot attempts. He's not a guy that needs like a crazy amount of, touches to get his. And that's what you like about him. When I'm sitting here looking at his box score, I'm looking at a guy who is for his career average 15 points a game. And over the last few seasons with Utah, as he's played a really good role on a playoff team, he's gotten between 13 and 14, 15 shots a game. And he's hit those at a clip of overall about 45%. That's huge.
That's pretty
Three-point
good.
percentage, his lowest percentage over the last 3 years was about 38, 39%.
38. Right.
Guys.
Yep.
Like I was looking at even the advanced stats with his threes. Like we all know these guys some of the guys that can shoot, but when you actually get down into the nitty-gritty of who these guys are, this man just plays his role very, 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 very well.
He's also
Very
a guy
good.
that would just kill the Pistons every time we played him.
Every
It was like
time.
it feels like if we were to like it feels like I remember when James Edwards III made that article of like the all Pistons killer team, like the team that just kicked their asses every time. Feels like we have half that roster now because Alec Burks was on it, and I'm pretty sure Bojan Bogdanovic was on it too. Because I feel like every time Bojan plays us, it's like the dude just can't miss.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah.
And Kool-Aid, you just hit it with the stats. So to go with that, the last 3-4 seasons, he's been at about 30 minutes per game. Do you think he gets to that marker still with the Pistons?
Well, as it relates to minutes, I think it can be a little bit more difficult for him to get a consistent 30 minutes per game. But I believe he'll still be effective player because of the type of player he is. The positions you can stick him in. And then if he gets that sixth man role, I don't see anybody coming off the bench that's going to be the dead eye shooter. That's the guy we need to be seeking to get buckets for. All the other guys are guys that legitimately have to be kind of put into a role. Like Jalen Duren's going to be put into a pick and roll situation.
Well, Alec Burks, you could argue like you could get shots for him on the perimeter.
Yeah, you can get shots from him on the perimeter as well. I think that Bogdanovic is a guy who can make an impact regardless of the amount of shot attempts he's getting, whereas Alec Burks might be a guy who, if he's not getting shot attempts, you might not necessarily feel his full presence or his full effect on the game. And I see Chuck Brewer saying Livers. I like Livers a lot. I'm expecting a lot out of Livers this year. Personally, but it's just as it relates to what we know out of Bogdanovic, yeah.
Yeah, when either of Bogdanovic or Sadiq is out of the game, Liver's in the game.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm looking at his field goals attempted here in the early part of his career. He was getting between 7.4 and at his peak, I think about 10.7 field goal attempts a game, and he was still averaging 9 to 14 points per game. Obviously, it's going to be a little bit different when the minutes jump and the field goals attempts jump, because during those times, first part of his career, he was getting between 23.8 and 27 minutes a game, averaging between 9 and as much as 14 a game. So to answer your point, Deuce, I believe coming to this team, I don't know if he's going to necessarily be pounding minutes, but I still believe he's going to be a highly effective player just because of the type of player he is.
Yep.
Hey, shout out Jack Kelly in the comments, man.
Shout out Jack, man. He's the dude.
Yes. Detroit bad boys, man. He's always causing some type of ruckus in the Pistons Twitter community with, some very engaging graphics and questions, man. So shout out to Jack. We definitely gotta get him on here one of these weeks.
Yeah, and I'm gonna get him on From Half Court for soon for sure, man. That'll be fun.
That will be. But yeah, just looking at the numbers of this, it's a guy that this is what you want. And the Pistons don't generally get players like this that are very, very, very super low maintenance, and they just know where to be because we haven't been in a place to win. Like we used to. Let me put it this way. During our down years, the equivalent of this signing would be like Anthony Tolliver. You remember how crazy we went over him? We should be going that crazy over Bogdanovic. Like that's what I'm saying. We actually, for a player of this caliber, during this trajectory, I saw somebody else say it in the comments. I'm sorry for not putting your name up here. I got to go back and look. Cade is not. It's not going to be so easy to double team Cade this year.
Yeah, it
is not. You double team Cade this year with Jalen Duren and Bogdanovic on the court, you're getting your eye dotted from 3 or you're getting dunked on.
Mm-hmm.
That's what's happening this year.
The reason we're not as excited about Bogdanovic as opposed to Tolliver is because of how much talent we have now already. And I think because we got Cade, we got Ivy, all these young draft picks, all these young talents, like, and we got Bogdanovic. You know what I mean? So it's a little bit different context and perspective now because of our talent level now.
Shout out Bashir, man. I respect it, bro. I remember that. Shout out to hey Steve, Carl, man. I'm gonna get you guys in on this, man. On this Bogdanovic.
So, yeah, for me, it's not Bogdanovic. It's what comes after that or what comes from that, because we've heard the possibilities of what we can get at the trade deadline for him. The cap space that we'll have next year. He's an expiring contract, so there's value there from that aspect. And then, I think it's very hard to kind of doubt that they'll even maybe make a playoff push. If they make the playoffs this year because of the added talent that he brings, then that's just more experience for our guys for next year. So,
well, and who knows?
For
what if he comes in and fits a role, has a solid season, and we're in a position where you could potentially bring him back on a team-friendly deal. You know what I mean? Like, we're going to have all this cap space. I just think to your point, Carl, like, we don't know, like, potentially he could be someone we can move at the deadline, but potentially he could be someone that could be in Detroit the next couple of years too, if we find that he actually is a good fit alongside Cade and has some value to go forward. You know what I'm saying?
I think the draft and that secondary market plays with at least what Troy has shown. That's what plays a huge role in what he does. And when he usually makes a move like this, he does generally flip it. I haven't seen him, except for with the case of Marvin Bagley, actually take these types of guys into another deal. But Marvin Bagley was a guy who was literally traded for to take into that other deal. He wasn't traded for to flip into something else, because his value was absolutely dead. I mean, it was just Trey Lyles and Josh Jackson is all it took to get him. So behind the scenes, we know it was dead, even though some people were promulgating it was going to take at least a Jeremy Grant type of a player. And I'm glad it didn't, because look at the haul that he got. You're talking about Jeremy Grant, Trey Lyles, and Josh Jackson turned into Marvin Bagley, Jalen Duren, and we already know a part of that Jeremy Grant trade that, even though he wasn't directly involved with the other Knicks players coming here, with some of the other ones coming here per se, I feel like this was all kind of worked out behind, to some degree, they kind of knew the workings, the inner workings of what was going to go on here.
Can I ask a question, by the way, on this trade? When I saw it go down,
you can ask anything you want. Come on, brother.
my guy. When I saw this trade go down, my first thought was I was wondering if this was 2K or if it was real. Because
it's 2K Troy, so it's both.
But here's my point though.
The answer is yes.
Well,
Yeah.
well, here's my point though. It's Troy Weaver, but on the other side, that's Danny Ainge. That's one of the best basketball minds in the game. He was the architect of the Boston Celtics team that we saw get to the finals. He was the mastermind behind the Kevin Garnett, Joe Johnson trade and all that,
There you
and
go.
all that went
Nets.
like the Kevin Garnett, Paul Pierce, like Brooklyn Nets deal.
Yeah.
How in the world did that same guy make this trade and go, that's good enough? Like, I'm genuinely flabbergasted. Like, I'm trying to piece together how this makes sense for Utah. I am doing my damnedest because there are teams that would have at least given up a second round pick. And like, no disrespect to
It was clean.
no disrespect to Kelly Olynyk and Saban Lee, but I have a feeling that a lot of executives saw that notification come through and go, "That's all it took."
Yeah.
Like, seriously, what am I missing?
You know what else
Putting
sucks though? Yeah. Troy has so much leverage, dog. These teams have to legitimately deal with Troy in a sense where they're like, you know what? This fool actually has the Pistons to a point that we don't know if superstars are going to start lining up outside the door, but they got a lot of money, a very attractive team. They're playing in a beautiful area downtown. What can Troy do to jam up our teams next summer? You want to play ball with a guy who has literally all of the options, all the money, and I can send out probably four of the top 25 players at the end of this season, top 25 young players. I'm going to put Cade, Sadiq, Ivy, and Duran in there. I don't care what anybody says right now. I'm betting high on those guys.
But
betting high. That's attractive, bro. You can lock up, you can jam up a whole team. You can F up a whole team summer, bro, with that type of cap space.
But here's the thing.
Yeah.
They don't like the Jazz. They didn't even cut salary. They took on the salary.
Yeah.
Like seriously, when
I'm
you
trying to
look
make
at
sense
it,
of it too, bro. I don't know.
there's
This
not
doesn't make
even a
sense. What is
benefit
Troy doing?
for the Jazz in this trade. The only benefit is that they got worse, so that maybe they'll be worse to get Victor Wembanyama. But like, the Lakers would have considered giving up a pick. We probably could have gotten something better from Phoenix. Like, what am I missing here? I'll
Maybe
take
some. I don't
Didn't
know.
we say this
Take
with
it.
Troy in the Jeremy Grant trade?
Troy has some dirt. Troy has dirt on every single team. I swear to God.
Yeah, he must
the
have been
only-
like, "Hey, you think this Ime Udoka thing's bad? Danny Ainge, check out what I have on you." And he's like, "I'll give you whatever you want."
He got a video of Danny Ainge saying, "The Celtics, I don't really like them." I'm telling you, he has something that would damage like his legacy as a Celtic. I don't even think it's anything crazy with Danny Ainge. It's just,
I think it would be
Troy's
something
like
a
a
little bit more
low-key
than him
detective.
going, "I don't like the Celtics."
you know what, Troy? Those Celtics and their fans. I'm telling you, dog, who the frick knows? But we've been saying this every single deal. We said Troy traded an unrestricted free agent for a top 20 draft pick, bro. I don't understand that. We don't have your rights. Go sign with whoever you want to sign with. And Houston still said, no, we want to give you a draft pick for Christian
And then
Wood.
Charlotte let us pick the better of the two bigs.
Yeah, that's
Like,
what
they're
I'm
like,
saying.
"Hey,
It's
we'll
like,
take-
what is going on
We'll
here? It's
take
like
the
Troy's just-
objectively, we'll take the objectively worst big. You guys can take Jalen Duran." Okay. I'm okay with that.
Yeah. I part of me hasn't even allowed me to go that route because I just want to be happy that we have Jalen Duran.
Yeah. Hey, Steve, what does Joe Dumars? What does he think about Troy Weaver?
I mean, he thinks he's doing an all right job, but he's still unproven. He hasn't gotten all the way into building a contender, which Joe did. And he has the Larry O'Brien trophy on one of the side over here. So he said when Troy has one of those, then he'll give him some kind of rating.
Steve, you're close. Hey, Steve, you're close to those phones. How are the talks on bringing back Carlos Delfino into the fold? How
Well,
many millions are we looking
they're
to throw
talking
his
to
way?
Arroyo. They're talking to Carlos Arroyo right now.
Oh,
Yeah.
shoot!
Carlos away.
Bobby
Throw
Sir.
Carlos away.
Burke bomb.
Yo, shout out Apollo. I want to put this on the screen, but I'm not going to. But it's funny, dog.
Wow.
Apollo,
Yeah,
hilarious.
you
dog.
can't.
Troy-
Yep, can't
Troy
put
got
that
stuff on
on there.
everybody.
Yeah.
Oh
Yeah.
my goodness.
Oh, yeah.
We'll put
Dude,
that up.
Troy's Hemi Neutron, man. It's insane.
You said what?
Troy's Hemi Neutron. It's insane.
Give me Neutron.
Yeah, Hemi
love it,
Neutron,
dog.
boy, genius.
I love it. I love it. I love it. I love it, man. Look, Troy Weaver. I don't know how you make sense of what Troy Weaver's doing. I don't get it. Like we've bantered on here a lot. We've seen GMs do things the same way for a very long time. And we got the privilege of looking across at certain franchises who just seem to know what they're doing. Danny Ainge being one of those guys. Wherever he goes, the team is just, it looks like their front office knows what they're doing. We looked at the Milwaukee Bucks take one of ours from Joe Dumars' front office, and for years, just everything they do, it just looks good. In Milwaukee, of all places, OKC, same thing. And so now that we have one of those guys, it feels like they're unicorns. You want to talk about the real unicorn? It's a guy like Troy Weaver who can get you players like Cade Cunningham, identify players like Jalen Duren, and then they come in and they're doing things that we didn't think that they could do, at least as it relates to what they're putting on their workout footage and such.
Right.
I don't know. I don't know from a Detroit perspective how we're even supposed to sit back and dissect what Troy Weaver's doing, because it's just so different. I love what Joe Dumars did for that going to work Pistons. I love what Trader Jack did back in the day for the Bad Boys, but that's probably the closest to this. I feel like the Bad Boys build is similar to the Troy Weaver build because of how they're just flipping things. Like the Pistons, like, you know what? I want to start her to come off my bench now. Let's just go get that person, and they're going to come in here and they're going to do that. And if they don't, we'll trade them out of here. Why? Because we know it's like they had a pulse on the types of players that will fit into their system. And they knew if this guy don't do it, this guy will. And you hear Piston teams all the time. It's not about talent. It's about who you're fighting for in that mindset up top. Obviously, if you're an NBA, talent is there. But they're looking for guys that are looking to come in and be that brotherhood, because each Pistons champion that we've seen, they carried more than just, I want to win a game. They carried a chip of the city on their backs, and you saw that. And they got into that. They embodied it. And a lot of those players to this day are still riding in that. We just saw Chauncey Billups talking about I swear he talks about Pistons just as much as he talks about his own Trailblazers team right now. The most awesome times of Sheed today, when we look at his old highlights, I don't see them bringing up Portland Trailblazers Sheed, even though that's where he did his most damage. I see them talking about him as a Piston. Ben Wallace,
because that's where he won,
and
that's where he won.
Yeah, the least amount of his actual total playing career was in Detroit. Obviously, he played here collectively longer, but he played other places. Man, he made a little bit of a name for himself in Washington. It's a good time in Pistons history and Pistons era, and it's a time that I think we all need to, aside from just covering it, enjoy it, because it's so different than anything we've ever seen in Detroit Pistons and really Detroit sports history. The Red Wings? And they were a cheat code. They were probably it. The Tigers with no restrictions, they were cheat codes. You know what I mean? You can just go out there and do what you want to do. This is the NBA. This is Detroit. This is years of negativity working against them, years of people still probably thinking they're playing, players say, they play an hour away from their downtown. That's not the case now, man. They're playing on Woodward. That's where they're at right now.
Not anymore.
You know what I'm saying? This team is different, man. It's different. And Troy has been a guy to direct that shit.
And I think the other thing too, just from a basketball sense, I think it just gives the team the option to fight different styles, be a little more dynamic, and play a little bit differently, in the sense that Bojan, when Bojan's on the court, he brings different things than Marvin Bagley, who brings different things than Isaiah Livers, right? So I think it's going to allow them to have some guys that have a little bit of variety, that in certain situations call for different types of styles. And I think that's something that is important to have. But I think in addition to, I just think, again, you talk about that flexibility over the long run, but like, I mean, there's genuine depth now. There's genuine competition to be had throughout training camp, throughout the season, for spots, for playing time, for what that lineup's going to look like. And, quite frankly, now, like I'm interested to see what some of these combinations are going to look like. I'm excited to see, Bohan and Isaiah Stewart. I'm excited to see, how Marvin Bagley plays next to a guy like Jalen Duren. Like, just as far as like our front court rotations just got that much more interesting. And I think, again, when you talk about what we've been talking about all along, the Pistons need to go get a vet. What type of vet do they need to get? They need a vet who can play effective basketball and could bail the Pistons out in situations if need. And that's exactly who Bojan Bogdanovic is. The guy literally can just go out and get offense at his own pace, at his own rate, at any given time. If you need Bojan Bogdanovic to get you a bucket, he's gonna go get you a bucket. That's how he plays. So they got older, they got better, they got smarter, and I think they just got that much more competitive.
And we sat here and we talked for a long time about what direction were they going to go in to try and fill the void that Jeremy Grant, left. And I don't believe that you can just fill the defensive void that's left with Jeremy Grant being gone, or even the free throws being the free throw situation.
But I will say, I would say Bohan's a better scorer than Jeremy Grant.
Oh, well, yeah, no, that's what I was getting. From the defensive position, it's going to be defense by committee, which is what Piston teams have always been. Even if they've had, defensive players who have stood out, they've always been defense by committee. They've always been a team that made sure they were playing the right way, And so I see this team being something where, Bogdanovic comes in and is able to, at least where he's not meeting the mark defensively, maybe, like Sean pointed out aptly, offensively, he's not going to be, as Mike Curtis from the Detroit News pointed out, somebody who stagnates the offense. He might not necessarily be a ball stopper, but the offense did stagnate when Jeremy Grant shots weren't going in because he wasn't necessarily that well or that good of a facilitator. Could he pass sometimes? Yeah, but he wasn't a play-making facilitator out there who was going to either hit the majority of his shots he took or make the right play. That's somebody that Bojan is on offense. He's just a low mistake guy, just knows what to do on the court offensively. Defensively, I see a situation where I believe Livers. Would you say, Deuce?
No, so he knows where to be.
Yeah,
he's a mover.
Yeah. And on defense, I just see this thing shaping up to be by committee. Everyone's just going to have to be better. There's no more of this, we just have an anchor on defense. An anchor on defense should be a guy who is legitimately talking, not being the guy who has to do everything. Ben Wallace didn't do everything for the going to work Pistons. He did a lot, but Sheed was tough. Chauncey was tough. Tayshaun was really tough on D, and Rip was tough on D. I don't know why people don't mention him, but Rip was not a bad defender at all. You know what I'm saying? So, yeah, with this team moving forward, I don't see a lot of holes in it. I think that lineup-wise, which is where I kind of want to get into. I know you were talking about it too earlier, Sean. I kind of want to see him come off the bench. I just
think the reality is I think he's too good to not at least start at the beginning of the season.
Yeah. Can I interject here real quick too?
Absolutely, Steve.
I think so. DBB, we're going to have an article coming out where all the writers there are going to talk about it. So shout out Jack, look out for that. Part of what I said in that is, number one, this is so Cade and Ivy don't have to worry about being primary floor spacers, I think, especially Cade. Now you have one guy alongside Sadiq, who also took a bunch of threes last year. You can just place him in the corners and let the other guys cook and go to work. Like, I think that's number one, the geometry wise of things. Like, that should be the main point of this, is like, this guy can create space all by himself. We don't have to feed him the ball either. We can continue to develop Cade. We can let Ivy develop with the ball in his hands, and this guy can give them space to operate. I think that's like number one, what it is. To your point of like, I think he has to be in the starting lineup. I think he almost has to be there as long as Cade and Ivy are out together, because otherwise, if he's out, then who else is the other floor spacer in there? And then Cade or Ivy has to just start jacking up threes. Not necessarily jacking up threes, but they do have to take that load if depending on who else is on the court. So
I think even for Sadiq's sake too, at least for the start of the season, having a legitimate floor spacer that's not him on the court. I feel like part of what caused a lot of his inconsistency this past season was the fact that Sadiq was a lot of times the only reliable 3-point shooter and the only like number one option that like the Pistons would look at to space the floor. So I think to your point, having someone else, at least to start the season, someone else alongside Sadiq that can space the floor, someone that can, that can shoot shots if necessary. And to your point, not put that pressure on Ivy or Cade to have to do that, because Cade, even though Cade will be a better shooter this year, he thrives in the mid range. He thrives closer to the basket.
Mhm.
Ivy, even though, like the jury's still out on what he's going to be as a 3-point shooter in the league, he objectively lives in the painted, in the restricted area and getting to the free throw line, right? We'll see what he is as a mid range shooter in the NBA. He just didn't do that a whole lot in college. But ultimately, I think to your point, like, especially too for a guy who's going to be 30, 33 this season, more than likely he's probably going to want to play a little bit more of like a catch and shoot role, not quite have to initiate as much of his offense. But again, it is nice. It is important to have a guy that he's one of those guys where it's like a break glass in case of emergency. We need a bucket and we need one now. He's one of those
Yep.
guys that can, like, if need be, create you.
That guy is Cade Cunningham, and it always will be.
Cade's your number one offense, like 100%. But what I'm saying is, like, if for whatever reason, like, you just need someone else, like if Cade's for whatever reason not hitting, if Ivy for whatever reason,
on the way that this team goes, and the only reason why I'm interjecting is just because I think that we are forgetting this team is on a trajectory. It's on a pace. I'm still not putting Bojan ahead of Sadiq Bey on this team as it relates to what he's supposed to provide this team.
Oh, neither am I.
If Sadiq Bey isn't doing all the things that we're saying Bogdanovic should provide for this lineup, then it doesn't matter if you sign Bogdanovic. This team is going backwards, because we have to make sure that Sadiq is a floor spacer, and we have to also make sure, according to Aaron's, this was more along the lines of what I was thinking about, the defense. I don't want this team to come out and get punched in the mouth. Their offense is not going to matter. There's not enough threes you can make to overcome the fact that you can't stay in front of your player.
That's true.
The person
That's
you're
true.
defending. There's not enough threes or floor spacing you can do to make sure that this team is not just in a back and forth. And then if all they're doing is staying even, when you go to the bench and you have no scorers to bring in, you don't have any more floor spacers to bring in when your starters are resting, that's where a Bojan, to me personally, would make the biggest impact. If we have our best, not our best defensive lineup, but a lineup that's mixed a little bit more balanced, and you have him be able to come off of the bench, I believe it provides a little bit more between the starters and the bench players, a little bit more balance, a little bit more depth, a little bit more you can depend on.
I think there's one
offensively. So offensively, I'm with you. My only question defensively, let's say you start Marvin Bagley instead. How much more defense are you getting there?
That's what I was going to say.
It's a style of play, I believe. I believe it's a style of play. Whether you think that Marvin Bagley is a great defensive player or not, all of us, anyone who's played basketball knows, if you see Marvin Bagley in the lane versus Bojan, you're probably going to do different things. And Bagley's going to be more paint-oriented than Bogdanovic is going to be. The style of play that you're going to get out of those two players and what the team does, it's just going to be different. And this is another thing. Bagley is supposed to be a guy who's getting better. He's another one of those guys like Sadiq. He's supposed to
it doesn't matter
forward defensively, and if he's not, then this team is not taking a step forward. Bogdanovic is not moving this team forward unless those other guys on the roster have taken a step forward.
I agree with you, but that's why I said that I think that's why I think to start the season, you'll see Bojan to start in the lineup, and then eventually, as how Troy Weaver generally does things, lets the younger players come in, take that slot, and I think over time you'll eventually see someone like a Marvin Bagley or an Isaiah Livers or someone else entering that lineup.
Killian came in and got it. These rookies come in and they'll get it if they're supposed to be those players that are supposed to be in those positions.
Okay, but Killian didn't exactly have the competition of a Bojan like when he came in. He had like an injury-ridden Derrick Rose as his competition when he came in.
No, he was a 7th pick. He came in with the expectation to be the starter.
You're right. You're right.
But he's not starting.
But you're making my point. That's the other piece of the context of where this is different. This is a guy. Both of these are guys that we acquired via trade. Both are guys that are making relatively similar money. If anything, Bojan's making more. What I'm saying is like there's going to be a legitimate competition for that spot to start the
Oh,
season.
of course.
And
I
I
didn't say
agree.
it's not going to be
No,
competition.
no, I know. And I agree with you that eventually,
I'm
like,
looking forward
that's,
to it.
and eventually that's where it needs to go, is that I think it will be better in the long run with him coming off the bench. I'm just telling you from what I think about Dwayne Casey, what I expect from him, how he starts the season, and just what I've seen in the past. To me, it just feels like Bojan's going to start opening night. That's just my opinion.
I wouldn't be surprised if it happened. And me personally, I don't get paid to coach the team or to GM the team.
For
I
sure.
get paid to do a little bit, to do what literally we're doing right now, and that's just talking about
Speculate.
what we see from our perspective. And just me personally, yeah, I want to see. I believe that what's best for this team is if Bagley actually proves he could be the starter from the beginning.
Absolutely.
And I
I
say
agree.
give him that, because
Absolutely.
he needs that, to me personally, more than Bojan would need to start the season.
Yeah,
If
that's
this
for
team
sure.
comes out and because for all intents and purposes, to me personally, if Marvin Bagley actually lives up to some level of degree of what he was drafted to be, that's an impact player on this team this year. Period.
For sure.
And the steps he has to make realistically are on the defensive side to better balance out who he is as a player. Offensively, I think we were all pretty much okay with where he was trending, though there were some things we would hope Bagley gets better at. But that lineup with I don't know, man. I don't see how it works defensively. I can see how it works
that.
offensively, but defensively, I can see this team getting ran.
If Bagley ascends to the level defensively that we all hope he can get to, then it's not even a question in my mind. I'm just saying, as presently constructed, as based on what we can see and what we know, I don't see much of a difference. But if he gets to that level, then I'm with you 100%. It's no question.
Yeah.
So hopefully he can get there.
It'll be interesting. I didn't like the conversation. I think, obviously, if we had to go and bet right now, I would bet that Bogey would be in the starting lineup. But as it relates to Troy, I actually haven't seen that to be his MO. Now, Casey, yeah. And so with Troy, though, I've seen draft picks come in here and get shots and play and get chances. I saw Sekou get a chance when people say, oh, he's just brooming everybody out. I think Troy just kind of does at his own pace kind of what he's seeing fit to do. And if a player's proven that they deserve to be there, I'm hoping that the Pistons are the type of organization that says this player's earned this, rather than now we're just going to sit around and protect the idea of a player rather than the actuality of a player. That's what we've seen in the past, man, from some of these during these down years, and it sucked. It only sucked. There were rookies and younger players we were calling for, screaming for to play, even though they weren't like, the top rookies. But these other people just, I don't know, man. They just didn't.
And it was even a struggle to get Luke Kennard on the court some nights. Like if he made a turnover at the beginning of the game, that's what I mean. Stan Van didn't like.
I wasn't trying to say his name. That's
like,
BG. Let's put it out there.
It's like, come on, man. He's like, no, stop turning it over. Stop, Andre.
But I get y'all on offense. Yeah,
Can I just say, I think defense is going to be a problem no matter what, though.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, who's the wing defender? Who's taking Jeremy's spot when Giannis and KD come to town? Nobody, right? Maybe it's Sadiq. I mean, Sadiq slimmed down. So I talked about this on Half Court Plug the other day. About maybe the reason Sadiq slimmed down is they want him to focus more on defense, like moving more quickly laterally. And being a better wing defender. But I think that's going to be a big issue. Also, rim protection. I mean, Isaiah Stewart's great at switches, but he's still working on rim protection, right? He's not the tallest center either. So that's always going to be an issue. I mean, Duran or Noel probably has to play significant minutes along there. And then the lineup I do not want to see together is Bojan and Bagley in the front court. That might as well roll out the red carpet on that one, man.
Oh no, that would not work.
Yeah, that's if you're down like 15 and you just need all the offense you could possibly get, and like you're just hoping to get back in it by chucking up threes and praying. That's really all that lineup would be for. I'm with you though.
Yeah, but I'm excited about the lineup combinations on offense. And I keep saying it, I think this is a year of development because all these additions, they help Caden Ivey more than anything else. Bagley's still a good lob threat, still a great pick and roll guy. Again, Bojan's a great floor spacer, so it takes a whole lot of pressure off those guys. And then they added another great lob threat with Duran. as well. So I think, again, it's just helping with their development more than anything else.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
I've said this before. I don't know where Jalen Durant ultimately is going to slot because his skill set looks like he could be a very, very versatile four.
That's exactly
Just
right.
me personally. And so I've stated this before. I still don't believe that the Pistons starting center of the future is on the roster yet. I really don't think so. I want to see where Bagley goes, but I just think he's a natural fit at the four. I don't know. He can be a five if his defense was better and if he was more versatile on defense in the paint, but I just haven't seen it. And so I still believe that this squad is void of his starting center. And I think that next season's off, the cap sheet. I don't know who's available. I don't know who could be traded for. I don't know what teams necessarily are looking to move on. But that's the hole that I believe next needs to be filled. I like what they did with Bojan because it gives them a lot of options as it relates to, like Sean said, do you want to bring him back on the cheap? Do you want to flip him at the trade deadline? Because he just the way that he vibes and fits with your squad, But yeah, I still feel like the center position is one that's gonna have to.
Really? Okay.
Yeah,
I really believe Duran.
Yeah.
I think Duran's that guy, man.
I think he's starting. I just don't know
personally
if he's the center.
I see what you mean.
I'm not saying Duran's not.
I personally think he is. I hear what you're saying. Yeah. I think.
Do you believe
Duran
the starting
is,
front court is on
guy.
this roster? Let me put it that way then. So let me take the positions away. And do you? Because I believe Duran's starting in the future, like I believe everybody else in this panel is. But do you believe that his battery, his front court mate, is on this roster? His starting front court mate.
Maybe. I think this year depends. I think Stewart and Duran, they envision like Rob Williams and Al Horford as those two.
Yeah,
I think that could work.
Yeah, come back after this season because I think if Isaiah Stewart shows that he can actually stretch the floor the way that we hope he can, I think there's a lot of reason to believe that he could very well be a starting front court member going forward.
That's definitely the hope. But we were literally, even though we saw Stu hitting threes, we're literally just saying, Stu's going to be a good player off the bench. Yeah, it looks like he looks like he's trajectorizing to be a bench player.
Well, we haven't some of y'all were saying.
I got receipts. I got receipts, man. Everybody was saying that this man was trending towards. All right, we'll go back and look at the footage, man. People were saying that he was trending towards a position. I didn't hear anybody stating that.
I was definitely saying it, but then he started making threes.
Well, I was for sure. Yeah, like
Stu was making threes.
I can remember saying that.
I feel you. I ain't gonna put people say they didn't say it. They say they didn't say it, but I know a lot of people were. A lot of people were saying it. I said it. A lot of people were. People in the media, people within the sports world, people outside the sports world, people were questioning, is he going to be a starter? Even after he started hitting threes, because it's not like he hit threes just a little bit last season. He picked up the pace in the second half of the season and more concentratedly over the last third of the season. But Stewart has shown that he can be a serviceable knockdown, like a serviceable three-point shooter on this team before, the summer workouts or even before that last little blip at the end of the season. It was something that they knew coming in. He can kind of do a little bit of shooting. But yeah, I don't think that like the commenter just said, Stu not making them like Bojan. I love Isaiah Stewart. I do. I just from measurables standpoint and from how I've seen that detract from his defense in the paint, I don't know. If his defense perimeter wise and Duran can be that lockdown in the paint, I see Stu and Duran being formidable duo. But I don't know, man. I'm gonna be bullish on this. I see Stu long term off the bench and a more dominant 4 or 5 next to Duran.
Okay. Let's see how it plays out.
Well, definitely
can't wait.
How it plays out.
Yeah,
definitely will.
I will say I do remember I've been on the don't sleep on Isaiah Stewart train for quite a while. So I will say that much. But I do think I will say I could definitely see where if the luxury of him being a bench player would be extremely enticing. However, I think this year will be a year where I think we will truly see what the generally speaking, you can tell for the most part what a player is going to be by year 3. Year 3 is generally speaking when you can really see at the very least, what the trajectory of a player's career is, right? Like
Mhm.
by year 3, you could tell Marvin Bagley wasn't going to be a star guy, but he could still have value in the league, right?
Right.
I think
Yes.
this year we're going to be able to tell, Sadiq, he's pretty damn good, but is he going to be one of those boys? I think this year, we're going to start getting an answer on that. I think
Yeah.
Isaiah Stewart, he could be a pretty damn good player, but is he someone that you can consistently have on the court in crunch time? Like, I think that's like something we're going to I think just a lot of these guys, we're going to start getting some answers on who they really
Answers to
are.
questions.
Yeah,
They're
but
not just Killian.
Exactly.
And here's a question
sure.
I have for you. And here's a question. And see, Gerald, I hope he can destroy a lot of fours in the paint, but he just hasn't shown that he can do that offensively or defensively. That's my problem. When he shows it, I will be personally more ready to say, bro, take it over and do that.
Mhm.
He has not shown that he can do that, though. And that's
don't-
why I pause. And my other thing that plays into my thinking that the 4 or 5 is something that's going to have to be figured out, or at least that wing. Where is the 60 million plus in cap space going? If they have all this money
No,
and
that's
they're
the
going to
question.
potentially sign a star or a big player to push this team into the next generation, it's not going to be Cade's spot. It's not going to be Ivy's spot. It's
We
not
need
gonna be
all the
Sadiq's spot.
guards.
It's
We're going to
going
get
to be
every guard in
one
the
of those
league.
front court spots is the only place they can add a potential star. And if it's not Duran, it's got to be that 4 or that 5. And that's the reason why I've been thinking about this thing. And I've been told, the bug's been put in my ear. They're looking at things. There's things that this team knows. We got some holes here. So if you're looking at your starters right now and you got 60 plus million to spend, which starting position are you spending it on? Where is this money going? Are you going and beefing up your bench with $60 million? That's not how this goes. There's going to be a starter signed to
Can I
the
get my
team.
tinfoil hat out real quick?
What'd you say?
Can I get my tinfoil conspiracy theory hat
Let's
out
get
real
it,
quick?
brother.
All right.
Let's go.
Let's
All
go.
right, if you want to get crazy, let's get crazy. If we want to talk about a potential front court
Put on
mate,
the Riddler mask.
listen, I don't know what you're talking about. Listen, I'm glad you brought that up because last week someone evaded my screen and took over my feed and portrayed me as some maniac laughing in a Riddler mask. I have no idea what that is, but here's my tinfoil hat. Here's my conspiracy theory. You ready? One team to look out for. This team just made a big trade this offseason, and it's named the Minnesota Timberwolves.
Ooh.
They specifically went and got Rudy Gobert, and if he doesn't play well this season, and if that team plays under expectations, the only way that they're going to be able to salvage that is by trading one of their number 1 overall pick players. And by the process of elimination, it's not going to be Anthony Edwards. It's going to be Karl Anthony Towns. So I'm not, listen, Steve, I'm not saying that's who I want.
I'm with Deuce, though.
Speed,
I'm
defense.
But listen,
Yeah.
if he comes to Detroit, he could play as a 4. That theory that Kool-Aid just had, Isaiah Stewart come off the bench.
Rudy and
potentially
Duran.
have Jalen Duran at the 5.
Rudy and Duran defensively?
Listen,
Come on, Steve.
man.
Give me a little smile, man. Steve is invited.
Wait, Rudy or Cat?
Wait, I thought we were talking about Cat.
Wait, you said Cat or Rudy?
Oh no, I was saying Cat. Like that would be the person that
Oh,
watch out.
Cat. I missed that one. Me and
No, that's
Cat
what I
got
said.
beef.
Karl
He don't
Anthony
know me, but we
Towns.
got beef.
What?
I don't know.
Me and Cat got beef. He doesn't know me, but we have beef, bro. We've been beefing since.
I'm not saying that's who I want. I'm just saying that's an example of a front court player to be on the lookout for, like someone that could potentially be available on the market.
I feel
Like,
you.
Minnesota, like
honestly,
this situation isn't exactly as set.
I
in
wouldn't
stone.
be surprised. Sean, honestly, but seriously, if all of us woke up like free agency or like the draft, and it was like Troy Weaver, the Pistons just acquired somebody, just acquired them for like a pick in something random. If it was Cat or somebody else, how many times have we done this? I'm gonna do this. Let me put back on the guys. How many of us would we be surprised if we woke up here during draft season and Cat was a Piston or some other big star and he just absorbed the cap space? Heck, no. We said this with the 2 draft picks last year. We said it, with this season coming up. We said it. Anybody gonna be surprised when Troy go out there and get 2 lottery picks, not 2 first-round picks? We said that's the reason why he wasn't trading Grant, because he wants surefire 2 first-round lottery picks. So honestly, look, it might not be Cat, but I believe they're going to do something crazy like that, and I do believe it's going to be a front court player. I thought you were saying Rudy at first.
No. Rudy's too old. Rudy's too old. No, Rudy's too old.
Done with Rudy.
Listen, y'all can say I'm crazy all I want. Y'all can say I'm crashing and burning. Listen, Karl Anthony Towns is an insane talent. Offensively, the implications of what he and Cade could be in the pick and roll are ungodly. I get it. Defense, I'm with you there. But you're acting like there's no good defense that could be played with Karl Anthony Towns on the court. We've seen statistically.
How many times have they made the playoffs? What'd they do when they got there?
Listen, I agree.
The center's the anchor position, though. That's the only thing I would be bullish on. The center. If your center cannot play defense, you are not succeeding.
But Steve, you're getting it wrong by putting him at the center. He's not a center. He plays his best when he's at the 4. What I'm saying is that you would have Jalen Duren as your defensive anchor. Karl Anthony Towns would be more of in a roaming help role, which is better for him than having to be the defensive anchor.
No. Who else plays the 4 in the playoffs? KD, LeBron? Yeah, no, thank you.
Oh shoot!
Listen.
So here's my question.
Listen,
Sean, here's my question. Here's my question. I hear what you're saying basketball wise. Will everyone still believe, or will he still believe or think when he comes here? Will he know whose team it is, or will he think that I'm coming to a team that's going to be my team?
And again, I wasn't saying that he is the player that's going to be added. I was saying tinfoil hat. Here's an example of a front court player that will be available over the course of the next couple of years.
Sean, I get it. I want to be fair. I stated I don't know who's going to be available for trade. We don't know who we could just absorb or go pick up the scrap heap. And Sean brought up a scenario. And honestly, y'all, I'm gonna continue to tell y'all this. If we can't say Troy is him, Troy is a GOAT, Troy Reaper, Grim Weaver, and all this stuff, and then put a cap on the types of players we can go after. I tried to do that. And then he came in and was doing things we have never seen. We ain't never had 2 lottery picks, man. Like this, hey, I want it, so I'm gonna get it. With what? With Jeremy Grant. How? Because what did you get? What did you give up? Did you have to do this? No, I want your draft pick. Here's Jeremy Grant. We don't need him next year anyway.
Yeah, nothing is off the table.
I don't understand it. So when these types of things come up now in year 3 of Troy Weaver, I've started to go, you know what? Maybe because think about it. Last week when we came on here and stated there's going to be a couple people moved this season before the trade deadline, we were all like, and then it was just like, there's a couple players moved before training camp starts, bro.
Right.
Yeah,
start like a starting level player.
I mean, no one would have said a year ago that the Cleveland Cavaliers were going to go get Donovan Mitchell. People would have said you were crazy. People would have said you're out of your mind. So, listen, I get saying that, like, going and getting Karl Anthony Towns, it's a far-fetched idea. And I know there's a whole ton about the basketball semantics and fit. I'm not even having that conversation. That wasn't even my point. My point was that it was an example of a star.
Sean likes to feed me, man. Like, he's like, look, I hear what Kool-Aid is saying, bro. Let's sprinkle a little bit on top. There we go. If you
I thought he was talking about stars, though. Why are we talking about Cat?
Hey, Steve, bro, who's out there, brother? I'm ready for
somebody dropped Siakam in the comments. I mean, he's already been on the trade block before, right? He was in trade rumors last year.
Say that one more time, brother. Say that name again.
Pascal Siakam. That would be. That's another one.
Yeah. But defense, Steve. No, I'm kidding. He could play that.
I had to have sound back though. I get it.
Everybody there hates Cat.
Sound was speaking. He was speaking to me more or less, and I get it because now you guys got me really thinking. It's like we started with Cat. There's Siakam. Now you're like, wait. There are guys available next season. That's what I'm saying. How many guys can Troy just state? Like, I want to look at the restricted free agents list. How many teams can Troy just say, hey, I'm signing both of these guys? You know how sometimes players can only do that with one guy? I'm just going to throw the bag here so that they don't go chase my middling player. Troy can throw like 2 bags at 2 different players and then go sign all of the rest of his role players. That's how much money they have.
Mhm.
I will
That's
say though,
crazy.
one thing we're all gonna have to brace for in the next couple of years, with the media deal coming up. I think one thing that we're just gonna have to address, and something that we're gonna have to be okay with, which I think we are as a city. I think we're gonna be okay with this. Cade is getting the bag of bags.
Yeah.
Like when he
Mhm.
is eventually eligible, he is
As he
getting
should.
like
As he should,
they're
yeah.
backing up the Brinks truck, that like they're opening it up, and it's
Please
gonna
do.
have another Brinks truck full of cash within it, because that is how many bags Cade's gonna be getting. Like he's gonna
He
be getting
better.
the rookie Supermax extension whenever that is, and it's gonna be upwards of $50 million a year.
When is he eligible?
Yep.
Next year?
Not this upcoming season, but I believe
Yeah.
After next.
I believe next year is when they could start talking about
And then
the
at the end of
extension.
that season.
And I will
Right.
tell you right now, the Pistons will offer it to him the second they can.
Bro, that framework should already be in place.
should
It's
be.
like, Cade,
It may
on
already
this
be.
date,
Contract
I'm just
should be
saying,
printed out.
like just in case people
Yeah,
don't
it should be
know.
printed out
Yep.
with staple.
Like
Yeah.
like with the new media deal, with the new salary cap, with the way things are heading, Cade is gonna get the bag of bags, and he
Mhm.
deserves it. But that's like something that like we're gonna, like when we're factoring in like the upcoming salary cap and all this money we're gonna have, coming up. Like when we're talking about like making trades and
Mhm.
things, we're talking about wanting to keep guys together. Sadiq's gonna get paid. He has a contract coming up. Jaden
Ooh.
Ivey down the line. Those type of guys, those types of players come at a premium. He's gonna
Jeez.
be,
Mhm.
if he's what we think he's gonna be, he's gonna get the rookie max as well, right?
Yeah.
Sadiq is
And
an
then-
interesting one.
And then Jalen Duren, he's someone down the line that you would potentially. Isaiah Stewart, what's the market for
Yep.
his services? So like there's like, even though like when you're talking about like the trade market, it's not just factored off of what players you want to bring in. It's also factored off of what you want to do with your salary, what you want to do with
Mhm.
your cap. Because even though we're going to have the space where the Pistons, if they wanted to, could both retain players and also though add players as well, with the
Mhm.
amount of space that they're going to have, that's when the opportunity is ripe to actually make some significant maneuvering and some decisions, because at that
Mhm.
point you can use them as assets or pieces to go, in theory, get the players that you actually want and construct a roster that more so fits the vision of where you're heading. So like that's
Mhm.
like when you're talking about like making trades and where players are going to go, one of the things that like you're going to have to keep in mind is that money's going to be a thing, and it's coming up. Now, ultimately, if like Tom Gore has shown, and he said he will pay in the luxury tax if there's a winning team, like he has done it before. Like
Yeah.
I don't think that's going to be a concern for the Pistons,
Not at all.
but you can't pay everybody.
Nope. And that was one of our earlier table talks. If you missed that, and we're gonna have to get back into that now because
Yeah.
things just got a lot more interesting. I thought you couldn't pay everybody until they literally just unloaded Kelly O's contract. But I think the guys,
Mhm.
obviously, the first person on the hot seat is Killian. That was Troy Weaver's first draft pick, so decisions have to be made sooner. Obviously, I don't think it's that cap hold in his last year that's a little funky or weird. So something realistically is going to have to get figured out. Probably was him a little bit sooner, unless he proves himself and they just kind of keep him in that role. Other than that, I believe Sadiq Bey and Isaiah Stewart obviously are the next two that have the most to prove, because there are decisions that have to be made on them as well. And do we believe they are the guys that deserve the bag? We know that they'll prove that or disprove that a little bit this season.
I will
This
say
season. Yeah.
one thing that I think that's interesting to point out, even though in the grand scheme of things it won't be very significant, Saban Lee being traded, that's Troy Weaver's first draft pick that I
Right.
believe
Yep.
he's traded. And he was someone that when he was brought in, they called
four.
that lineup the core four.
The core four.
And they
Mhm.
included
Mhm.
Saban Lee in the core four. And I think it's powerful. Like to your point, Kool-Aid, someone like Saban Lee, who is considered the core four, obviously that's because that was his first draft. You know what I'm saying? But
Yeah, I'm pretty sure that's because he didn't want to be left out. But
yeah, 100%, 100%. But I mean, but more importantly though, if it shows that like they're willing to, like Troy Weaver's willing to move off of someone that they called like part of the core four, but like,
Yeah.
Killian's now pretty much in Saban Lee's spot for all intents and purposes,
Yeah.
Like
Yep.
he's kind like you said, like there is very much a world where Troy Weaver could say, hey, best of luck to you, and it wouldn't really, if he doesn't really produce, it wouldn't really be much off his
And
back.
his money slot is higher than guys like Bay and Stu. Now I have to see how that cap all, how the CBA plays into what they can get, because I know what a player does stat wise can add to their incentives that they're able to sign for early on. So they're not just stuck into their rookie slot. But Killian was the number 7 pick versus Beef Stu and Sadiq Bay being what, between 16 and 20?
If it's based off of stats, he's screwed. Like if it's based off of, like, Killian better pray to God it's not off of stats, because there would not.
I'm never trying to practice my professionalism, man. I'm come on.
I'm just. Hey, you told me I got to bring the comedy out sometime.
I love it. I love it.
I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding.
No, it's great. It's great. It's great, dog. I'm sitting here because you're right, man. We haven't even had enough time to really enjoy what Chuck is killing me. What Troy Weaver has done, and he already has to make. They love you, bro. And he already man. My whole train of thought.
I got you, bro.
He already got to make decisions, big decisions. What's up, Deuce?
Yeah, no, I was just gonna pick up for you because I was
Go
in the train too. But no, I think I forgot. No.
In all seriousness, people forget I am a Killian supporter. I'm just making jokes. I'm just cracking. Listen, it's 10:53 on a Thursday night. That means I'm in my fooling mood. It's fooling o'clock when I'm.
People don't understand how much we look forward to these table talks. I legitimately have grown to love all of these guys on here, man. Like, and shout out to the ones that aren't here: King, Lexi. Shout out to our other collaborators and content creators like Jeff and the Woodward Heavyweights and Jonah and Pistons Talk, Anthony, all those guys, man. We've had a lot of people really, really help and contribute. Shout out Stick, Adam, Joey, and all those guys. Like this is something I look forward to. We have some of our Sean and I have pregame talk before each table talk.
Yeah,
and I'm telling you.
In addition, by the way, Kool-Aid and I have been talking about this for a while. We got to figure out a way to get people an exclusive way to like whether it's like a subscription, whether it's like a monthly thing. I'm telling y'all, the post show of the table talk is sometimes better than the table talk itself because of the energy we're at and just we're wilding. I'm not even
gonna tell y'all what Carl be doing in these in the post.
Yeah, man.
Y'all gonna want to see Carl. Y'all gonna want to see Carl being crazy.
Alive.
Yeah, Carl just starts throwing all these people under the bus and just is like, man, this is everyone I hate in Pistons Twitter, every person by name. And it's like, dude, that's crazy.
Sheesh.
Not exactly, but
hey, it's on the way, Chuck. It's on the way, brother. It is. And we got some pretty cool stuff planned too. I had some ideas. Sean will get with you as well. And we're also going to make sure that our content creators, I guess as we're kind of coming to a close, man, our content creators, they're going to all have a presence on Woodward Pistons, on the channel, within our socials and such, trying to figure out the best way to make sure everything can properly be disseminated and get out there. But you're going to be seeing a lot from our guys. I got a really cool text message while we were doing this, another person that's coming on the team. So I thought coming into the season was going to be stressful. Second season covering the Pistons from a credential standpoint. And last year I realized this is crazy. It's a lot. A lot of these other guys have teams. They have people that work with them, people that do a lot for them, production crews and such. But since we're different and we get to kind of do it as we see it, we decided let's roll as a team. You know what I mean? Like, let's roll publicly as a team, not just, okay, we have everything set up and just the brand, just the label, or just the person who might be in a certain position gets the credit. We're trying to make sure that you guys get everything. Sean deserves credit. Jeff deserves credit. Deuce deserves credit. Carl, Steve, Lexi, everybody who's ever been on this channel, from Pistons thoughts to Pistons talk to Kyle Metz, even to anybody who's ever been on this channel, man. Anybody. It's just about making sure that we are giving you a platform and a stage, unprejudiced, unbiased. We want to make sure that we can give you the best content and that you know this is your family, this is culture, this is where you want to be for the season. And we're going to be looking to benefit you all. It's going to be a lot of merch giveaways, especially to those that subscribe to the memberships. It's going to be a lot of merch giveaways, a lot. And we're going to try and make sure that we at least get you guys hooked up sometimes with some Pistons tickets. That opening night, I'm still working on it. But to those people that are always in here, one or two of you guys might have the opportunity to be with us that night in the section. So, like I said, we're getting a lot together. I just wanted to make sure we threw some of this out here because I'm telling y'all, Woodward Pistons is about these people you see on the screen and the people, the teams, even people like Stick. All of our shows that we've done in Studio A do not happen if Stick, Mr. Sam Day, our fearless leader at Woodward Sports, doesn't do what he does for us, man. And so on. Like it's a lot. It's so many freaking people, man. And I just want to make sure before the season gets going and we get into the nitty-gritty of things that we thank a lot of people, including Rod Beard and Mike Curtis and the Detroit News for blessing us, man. They really are doing a lot to collaborate with us, and they appreciate what we're bringing to the table. So be on the lookout, man. Woodward Pistons is going to be everything that you want from Pistons coverage, everything that I wanted as a kid, as a teen, as a young adult, as a college kid, watching these teams play. That's what it's going to be. You're going to get this coverage from multiple angles. We're getting Sean credentialed up to be in there covering Grand Rapids Gold as well. They're here in Michigan. Look, they got some legendary, to me personally, basketball players within their organization.
Dude, Jason Terry, head coach. That is someone I want to meet so bad and sit down with. Oh, my goodness. Yep. And I'm going to make sure that happens. But in addition, Kool-Aid, if you could share the screen real quick, shameless plug here. Yeah. Follow your boy on Twitch, Sean Talk Sports. I'm going to be doing some more 2K streams, hopping on there, playing with the community. Also, I even want to do some 2K tournaments as well. So, if you're on PlayStation, be sure to add me. We're going to be doing more stuff. I just want to do more for the community. And in addition, this will be a way kind of for me to also have like a little extra ching and to get and help fund the Get Sean to Detroit fund. So if you want to see more of my face over the weekends and for more chilling out stuff, go to Twitch and look up Sean Talk Sports.
Hey, can I ask a question about that Twitch stream?
Yeah.
Are you going to trade for Karl Anthony Towns?
You know what? Now that you said it, I'm gonna make a franchise, and we're gonna make it around Cade and Cat.
Hey, look, Sean, look, bro, do it when we're Pistons season, bro. Where our scenarios and the things that we talking about, you go in and you GM it for us, bro.
Oh heck yeah, baby!
Let's do it.
Heck yeah.
And Sean, let's talk, brother. Let's expand on what we talked about before. Like I told you guys, got a whole freaking lot that we have.
Man, there's so much we have going on, man. And seriously, man, like when you say like. We really are like we wanted to be the forefront and the hub of Pistons content. We're there. We are the hub for Pistons content on Pistons Twitter, on Pistons YouTube. This is going to be your one-stop shop for professional coverage, legitimate sources, legitimate views, the best voices, the people that you want.
Credentialed, multiple people who are well studied, multiple people who work at this. Y'all don't understand these.
And
people, this is all they do.
And even expect some players on here at some point this season as well. So listen, man, we have some cool stuff cooking. And that's just the tip of the iceberg, my friends.
And the most important aspect of the season to come is the I got to think of the name. I think it might be Woodward Pistons Live. I'm still bantering about, but Sean, Jeff, and I will get together soon. And that's going to be the biggest piece of content being added to the channel is the official season coverage show. So be on the lookout for that. Like I said, a lot of different angles. Yeah, it's going to be great. I don't want to put too much out there until we get everything down packed, but let's get it.
It's coming. It's coming. We'll see. We appreciate everybody hanging with us, showing support from day one. A lot of day ones here. We appreciate and love y'all, man. So keep rocking with us. A lot more on the way for sure.
I'm ready, dog. I hate that we do these at night, bro, because it's like caffeine. I'm not going to bed for 5 hours. I'm about to be on 2K trading Cat to the Pistons.
You mean Siakam?
Dude, can I say, by the way, I made a my player. I went on and found like they have like replica builds you could do now. So I make my guy like Kobe, and I was like, who do I want to play for? Because it lets you choose your team. I almost chose the Sacramento Kings because I wanted to give those poor suckers a championship because no one's gonna be able to do that in real life. And then I decided I didn't want to because they can go
Shots fired.
themselves, and I went with the Magic instead. So
That's not bad at all. I like the
there it
Magic.
is.
Chuck
But-
Brewer's up at 4 a.m.
Wow, he's the real one.
Yeah, man.
Jeez.
100%.
Shout out Chuck, man. You talking about some day
Shout out
ones.
Chuck.
Goodness gracious.
That's
MK as
dedication.
well. Hey,
Okay, yeah,
Uncle
for sure.
Terry is gonna have a presence, pretty permanent presence on Woodward Pistons. That's one I can put out there, man. Uncle T Foss, we're gonna have some fun this year, man.
My
There's
guy.
some stuff that we had earlier on in the year. I know who was it, Jeff or Sean, Deuce, myself, and Uncle Terry, and we're adding Jeff to that mix. It's gonna be cool. You guys are gonna love that content. It's gonna be dope.
Yeah, absolutely, man. But be
Who's-
sure you're subscribed. Also, be sure you're checking out our website as well, because we're going to be ramping up a lot of the writing content as
Ooh.
well. Woodward Pistons is now no longer just a video content team, but we are very much diving deep into writing this year as well. So Kool-Aid will be the beat reporter. I'll be the associate editor. So we're going to be heading the vision and direction of our writing on Woodward Sports for Pistons coverage. So be sure you're checking that out as well. But with that, y'all, we want to thank y'all so much for tuning in. Be sure you're following, going and following. If you can hide this comment so I can just show people's
Yeah,
socials
no
here,
problem.
so that if we can go follow my guy Steve at Burke Worldwide, you can go follow my guy Carl at Carl Collins Prod, my man Downtown Deuce at Downtown Deuce on all social media platforms, my man the Godfather Detroit Kool-Aid, and if you're feeling oh so generous, follow your boy
Also
right down
generous.
here.
Also
at Sean
generous.
Report.
Deuce,
Also
Deuce,
generous.
Deuce, go
Yes,
ahead
sir.
and do it because you haven't been here lately, and I can tell Sean is like weird with it, trying to like put himself on. Please go ahead, Deuce.
So-
Take your role.
So every week we get to this point, Sean has like roses for everybody. Everybody. He's just the greatest at this, and he's the greatest at that. All right, see you guys later. It's like, bro, show yourself some love. It's okay. Please plug it. It's
why I
good
love this
content,
team.
bro. You killing it. Like,
That's why I love these
Appreciate
people.
it,
I love
man.
the
Yeah,
people in the
do
comments. Seriously, shout out to you all. Keep us on our toes this season. For real. Send us questions. Hit us up on socials. Follow these people. All these people are part of our official team that you see on here, are part of our official Table Talk coverage crew, covering the game from different angles and from different talents and perspectives. Hit us up, man. Definitely. Hit us up. We're ready to get going for the season, and it's going to be awesome.
And to his point, subscribe to From Half Court for what is, in my
thank
opinion,
you.
the
Our
best
NBA coverage.
some of the best Pistons content and some of the best up and coming NBA content on YouTube.
Some.
Yeah,
Listen,
facts.
let me put it this way.
No, I'll just say
Stop.
it. It's
No,
the best
stop.
up and coming
You said that
NBA
way
channel on
wrong,
YouTube. I'll say it.
I'll say this.
Okay.
Sean can't say it, okay? Sean can't say it because, don't brag up yourself. But Sean's in this position that he's in because of the work that he does, the acumen that he brings. And he is our NBA coverage. That From Half Court represents NBA coverage. It's not like, oh yeah, just kind of do this. No, Sean is proficient at this stuff. Is he a part of our Pistons coverage team? Does
Yeah,
From
for
Half
sure.
Court cover Pistons and stuff and do a great job at that? Yes, but it's an important pillar for us to make sure we are also covering the NBA in a multitude of ways. So when you guys see us talk about some of these things that matter that aren't necessarily Pistons related, it's Sean who's staying clued in on all these things across the league, on all these things. So it's an important thing. And I just want people to understand that when you're coming here, Woodward Pistons will be very Piston centric, but we are NBA junkies. And that's what's going to be dumped on From Half Court. The
Yeah.
NBA is the NBA, man. And
I'm
and
equally
Sean
as
knows
big of a fan of the league as I am of the Pistons. So I take the coverage of both very seriously, and I try my best to be very objective. But
You try well.
who's taking
I-
us out tonight? Blanco Mason, Shanye West. Which one of them? Comic
Who we
Sans.
got?
you better believe in Kanye West, baby.
go.
Thank y'all for
Yes, sir.
tuning in. We'll catch you next week.
Restoration. Restoration coming October. Stay plugged in. What we're Pistons. Let's
That's right.
get it. Carl Collins, shout out.
Shout out
Catch
to you.
y'all next time. We're Pistons Table Talk.
Let's get it, man. Let's get it, man. Thank you guys. Love
Take care,
y'all.
everybody.
Definitely.